arthritis patient. He needs to go to the doctor in order to get his treatment adjusted. But in the process, he needs to go through all of these steps. They're numerous and they're avoidable. We propose with our partners at DBS System a very simple solution, actually. And we allow the patient, by simply pricking his finger, to get a plasma sample that will be used by the doctor with our Swiss analyzer multiplexer, SAM, and get the results in under 10 minutes. Now, that's even less than trying to get the second appointment with your doctor, right? Okay, now, SAM is adaptable. I will point out to that right now because we have not talked about Humira patients, we have talked about rheumatoid arthritis patients in general, and that's a point that is very important. And SAM is also multiplexable, which means that SAM does not only monitor the concentration of our drugs, but SAM also allows you to monitor the presence of other biomarkers in the same test and at the same time. So what are we offering exactly? We are offering reduced healthcare costs. And how do we do that? Well, I have already talked about the first point, optimized schedules for the patients and for the doctors. Now, we are also offering a bunch of services, maintenance, free trainings, after-sales services, and we are also offering a treatment monitoring app because this is a chronic disease, and so the continuous monitoring of this treatment is very important. And this is also a very important step towards personalized medicine. Now, what do I mean by that? I, for example, am a diabetic patient, and I have this EpiPen right here, and I can adjust my doses accordingly with my glucose level. RA patients cannot do that at the moment since they have fixed doses. And we believe that by this continuous drug concentration monitoring, RA patients will be able to do this in the future, which is very useful. Okay, now who are we targeting? We are targeting medical hubs in medical group practices, doctors' offices, hospitals, clinics, and social medical establishments. For example, nursing houses with trained medical staff. Where are we going to start commercializing our product? Well, we are based in Switzerland, so we are going to start in Switzerland with 70,000 patients, collaborating with 290 hospitals and up to 1,500 social medical establishments. Then we will expand to the European market very fast. And on the long term, we will expand to the US market. And now I will come back to the adaptability of SAM, because since it is adaptable, it works with adalimumab, infliximab that you can find in Remicat, for example, as a drug, and so on and so forth. Now, price-wise, I have two products here, a biosensor and a chip with the prices listed there. But this is not the important point. The important point is a comparison between a test, a classic test that a patient can have in an analysis lab, and a test that would use the EPFSens technology. Now, the price of a test in an analysis lab costs around $500, and a test with the EPFSens technology costs $55, which is basically 89% savings, or in dollar bills, $460. Now, what was I saying again? Reduced healthcare costs. Thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any questions, please be my guest.
Are there any questions?
So that was a quick and swift presentation.
Thank you.
You also plan to very quickly and swiftly cover the world with your product.
Well, hopefully, yes.
So I can see the Swiss combination, and I can see that you may have already a network with Swiss customers. Mm-hmm. That would be helpful, but how are you going to expand into Europe, and maybe first go to US and then go to Europe, which...
No, we will go to Europe.
Yeah, that's what you said. I understand.
I'm sorry.
But
yeah.
Maybe that's something to consider, actually, because you have a homogeneous market in the US, and a huge one, much bigger than a European one.
Right.
So that's something maybe you can comment on. Mm-hmm. But the most important part, I think, is there, who is going to do that and how?
How are we going to do that? Well,
Getting sales, yeah.
yes. So basically, what we are planning to do is, since we are going to be collaborating with the establishments in Switzerland, as for example hospitals and the clinics, we would rely on the connections between the hospitals in Europe and try to expand the network that we will be basing in Switzerland in the beginning. Then, of course, since adalimumab is not only used by rheumatoid arthritis patients, it will be used for other diseases. So basically, we can make a market study in order for it to be consulted and used by us in order to expand to other markets than rheumatoid arthritis. So basically, we would target other diseases in other European countries.
All right. Next question over there.
I like the simplicity of the test.
Thank you.
Very much. So, don't you think it's maybe an idea to bring it to the home of the patients in the near future?
Well, we have considered that, but then we thought about making this device targeted to the patient, but in an indirect way, because as we said, we are offering trainings, and the patients sometimes are not qualified to, for example, mix buffers or something. So we would basically train staff for them to do that, and the patient will basically just have to get the sample to the trained medical staff. Plus, if you look at the prices, if you ask a patient to pay for a test, the reduced price is way more helpful for the patient than paying for a machine that he won't be using that much. For example, but in comparison, a doctor or a hospital or something like that will be using constantly the machine, so they would reimburse it very fast.
Okay.
Another question.
Do you have rollout partners committed to roll out the product to market? And if so, when will products hit the market?
Okay, so we do have the partnership with. We will have the partnership with DBS in order to get this pricking finger thing and getting the sample. So that would make it easier, since it is also a based startup in Switzerland. And then, in order to expand towards the market, we would start by collecting funds from seed investors and angel investors, and try to get the FDA approval, EMA approval, and after that commercialize this. So let's say if we plan to expand this in the Swiss market, it would be within 3 years lifespan, and then after that expand towards the whole European market and towards the whole Swiss market also.
As an investor, I always ask this question: are you willing to put your own money in this company?
Of course.
Okay, let's talk.
Any other questions? All right.
I have a question. You chose to go for a multiplex and to do two other antibodies. Did you validate the need for that, and how did you do that?
What do you mean by did you validate the need for that? Well, I think I get the question. Well, if we are, for example, just monitoring the concentration, well, that's useful. But then, if we want to look into other biomarkers like for the patient, it could be a way to conduct multiple tests at the same time, and that is something very useful for the doctor. Instead of doing multiple tests, you just put your chip and you observe the data that you can collect really fast. Is this an answer to your...
Is there a need for one patient to monitor all three antibodies, or is there a need for three separate patient groups to monitor the three antibodies, and how did you validate the clinical need to monitor those?
Maybe since I cannot give an accurate answer for that, I would say maybe there would be no real need to do that for RA patients. But since adalimumab is used for other diseases also, that could be useful for these patients that are under adalimumab or
Yeah.
infliximab or other diseases.